One of my simple joys in life is being able to just go onto Netflix and find something random that looks vaguely interesting and just watching it. It's nice to have a vague notion of some kind of story that you want to engage in and just seeing what you can find that matches that. Or just not even thinking about it too much and picking just whatever seems new or interesting. And one of those picks for me is Maboroshi, a movie that I knew nothing about before randomly seeing it on my Netflix account and thinking, yeah, sure, that seems pretty interesting. This is a movie that released in Japan in late 2023, but then opened on Netflix in January of 2024. The story follows Masamune, a 14-year-old boy who lives in a kinda sizable town in the outskirts of Japan. This decently mid-sized town is called Mafuse, and the entirety of its economy is based off the local steel mill. It's an industry town, and most people have connections to or have direct family working at the local mill, which becomes absolutely terrifying when at the beginning of the movie some tragic accident causes the mill to explode. Masamune and his friends seeing the explosion from their windows when suddenly everything resets. They all saw the mill explode and know that something weird has just happened. So they all rush outside and see that there's giant cracks in the sky and smoke monsters coming to fill in those cracks. It makes absolutely no sense to them at the time, but eventually they figure out that something mystical has happened. The only explanation that anyone's able to come up with is from Mamoru Sagami, who insists that this is some sort of divine punishment. You see, Sagami's family has always been in charge of the local shrine, and he believes that the gods in the mountain that they worship for all of this time are punishing them because they have been mining the mountain for iron. Masamune and the entire town begin to realize that they are trapped, stuck in time, unable to progress at all, and Sagami insists that they cannot change. They have to all remain the same as they are currently. No matter how much time passes, they need to be sure that they all remain the same, so that when they are eventually freed from this eternal prison, they are able to go back to their lives as normal. You see, even though they're all trapped in an endless winter, they believe that at one point in time, hopefully the gods will release them and they will be able to go back to their normal lives. But on the other hand, this is all entirely based on Sagami's ideas, and the man does not seem to have the most sane disposition. So Masamune and his friends do whatever they can to feel alive, to feel like they have some kind of connection, because they are all currently trapped at the age 14 for an undisclosed amount of years. Just time keeps on passing. They can feel days go past, but they are all still trapped in the age of 14, trapped in an endless winter. Through all this tedium and boredom though, Masamune is able to form some kind of relationship or companionship with a girl that he absolutely despises named Mutsumi. And while he may not like Mutsumi, he does agree to follow after her as they go to the steel mill. And there he finds another teenager like him, somewhat similar to him in age, but she doesn't act like a person, more like just a wild animal. A feral child who can barely speak and has very simplistic understanding of what's going on around her. Masamune comes to learn that Sagami and the people of the mill are keeping her here in secret because they believe she has some sort of connection to the phenomenon that's keeping them all frozen in time. What that connection is though, what it all means, all of that still is very unclear. Together with Mutsumi, Masamune goes on a quest to try to figure out what exactly is happening, where exactly they are, why there are cracks forming in the sky and smoke monsters generated by the steel mill going up to fix them. What does this all mean? How could this have happened? And more importantly, what can he do so that he can finally grow up and change in the ways that he's always wanted to, that the years and years of being stuck in time have denied him? This is an incredibly fascinating film with a premise that I think you could get a lot of mileage out of. The director and writer for this movie, Mari Okada, is someone who I'm actually pretty well familiar with because she is prolific in the anime space for her work as a writer, both as a series compositioner. She's also the original creator of some anime like Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season, which I absolutely adored when it came out a few years ago. She's also the director of a film called Makia, a movie that I've never really talked about on this channel, but is incredibly effective and beautiful, and actually gives a lot of vibes that I get from Firen in ways of a character who is very, very long-living, dealing with the idea that she is around people who have normal lifespans. Very interesting film, not really gonna touch on it much, but she has a lot of work behind her that is prolific, really. She is a force in the anime space. and this film is produced and animated by Mappa, which is a studio that I really shouldn't need to say anything more about. I've already said tons of things about it in my previous videos. I don't know what more I can add. They are one of the most prolific anime studios running right now. And on a feature film budget, Mappa absolutely shows why they are one of the top names in the industry, with a film that is absolutely breathtaking with some really fun, imaginative sequences all the way through it. Maboroshi is a movie that has so much going for it. It's a movie that I so desperately wanted to love, but I couldn't get all the way there, unfortunately, because the one big factor that holds it back is the writing. Okada is absolutely an amazing writer. You can look through their entire works, their filmography, and you will see that they have impacted a lot of really beautiful, amazing shows. But for some reason, this movie just doesn't feel like it's all the way there. Well, actually, no, I'm gonna pull back on that. I don't know if that's the case here, because more so, this movie's problem is that it doesn't have enough time to do all the things that it sets up. This is a very ambitious film, trying to tell a very interesting mystery story while also centering it around themes of growth, development, and change, something that they are an amazing writer at, as they showed in Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season, an anime series entirely about that they also made the manga for. But Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season is one of the best coming-of-age stories I have ever seen. It's about a group of girls coming of age and how that feels for them, right? And Maboroshi as a movie has so much potential to be great here, because I did enjoy its characters, its setting, its ideas, but at the same time it felt like the movie was struggling to contain all of these ideas and tell them in its fairly short runtime. I think if this was a mini-series, maybe like 6 or 7 episodes of an anime, maybe 10 episodes of an anime, this would be a lot better. It feels like these characters in this world needs more time to grow and develop, more time to live in to actually feel the effects of the story that it's trying to tell. Because Maboroshi is, in a lot of ways, a very emotional film that wants you to feel for its characters and connect with them, which is something that I was able to do at times, but the amount of buy-in that you need in stages for these characters just isn't all the way there in all scenes, and it feels a little bit hollow, which makes those scenes, those big emotional scenes, feel even worse, feel just ill-fitting. I'm not gonna harp on this too much because it wasn't really the focus of the movie, but if you're someone who really likes to nitpick the world building that's going on here, because this is like a supernatural weird mystery that's going on, trying to understand the mechanics of the world that they're trapped in, the way that they are trapped in a certain period of time for a large amount of years, the fact that they're not able to grow or change, the fact that they have things, it's weird because the town is entirely cut off. No one can escape the town or leave it. They're all entirely centered inside the town and cannot leave. But they still have electricity and food, and society is just basically moving on the same as it ever was. Everything just continuing in place, even though they are entirely cut off from society. Now, again, the idea is that they all need to just continue their daily life and hope that they will be returned back to the normal world. But you would think that, like, in a world like this, if they're cut off from everything, these people are still eating. They're all eating, clearly. Where's that food coming from? It's eternally winter, so you can't grow anything, so how is that working? People are still bus drivers, are going to work at the factory, even though there's not really any kind of reason that you need to do that. And if you're someone who asks those kind of nitpicky questions, the film's story and world start to unravel a little bit. And again, that's not really the point of the story. It's not to really dive into like what will happen in society if we were all cut off in this like bubble trapped in time. It's more about a story of a bunch of 14-year-olds trying to understand what it'll be like to grow and change and develop and be their own person, and what the future is like and how scary that is, and those kind of things. That is the point they're trying to make, and it does feel unfair to just nitpick the world itself, but it is a thing that did come up in my mind a lot, like mainly the food. How are they getting food? Just the food just like reappear? Just what happens? Where are they getting this from? Like those are questions that keep coming up that I don't quite understand. There's other parts of the world that are kind of developed and thought out, but like these parts of it are just something that like a quick little explanation would have been all I needed just to get rid of that, but whatever. It's not a major thing. Whatever, it's fine. There are a lot of things that I like about Maboroshi. I think it is a very interesting, well-animated movie that does try to get you to think about things, but it doesn't really bring you all the way there and fully invest you in the characters that it presents. And that actually might be the most frustrating thing in the movie. It's a movie that I wanted to love so much that I felt like I was so close to really fully enjoying, but I just couldn't get there. And that tease with almost being great, with almost being something really, really fun and easy to recommend, that tease where it's just not there is the most frustrating thing. I think it's a good movie, and if you want to see some really beautiful animation and just want something, you know, chill to put on, this would be fine. It is still fun, even if it's a bit frustrating to dissect the world and the characters and the ideas that they're going for in this movie, what Okada is trying to portray here and what messages they're trying to give the audience. It is fun to try to parse that and understand it, but overall it's still, unfortunately, an unfulfilling movie. No matter how much I may personally find the actual hook of it really interesting, the supernatural edge of it just fascinating, how this world works, I don't feel like I ever get a satisfying answer to that or a satisfying story overall. And weirdly enough, I feel bad about saying that. I don't have a problem hating on movies by any stretch of the word. It's a very normal thing that I do regularly. Cold-hearted complaints for a reason, but for this movie, that wasted potential, that ideas, there's something there that I think that grabs me to it, that gravitates me to it, that wants me to think about it more and more, but just leaves me still feeling unfulfilled. It's hard to put my finger on why this is such an interesting movie to me, why I have so many thoughts about it, but that just is what it is, so I'll have to deal with that. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts on Maboroshi, and if you have any more movies you want to recommend or ideas or thoughts about it yourself, be sure to leave in the comments. I'd love to see what you all would think about it, because this is a movie that I feel like would be really great to discuss with other people and to try to like dig into. This feels like if you get a few friends together who are all, you know, interested in diving into media and like trying to explore and understand it, it feels like this is something where you can get into a lot of the themes of it here and have pretty interesting conversations. But on its own, doesn't really match up as a film, unfortunately. So again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe to see more videos similar to this, and be sure to comment your own thoughts below. Thank you very much for watching, and I want you to have a great day, a great night, or whatever it is you're having. And stay rad.